Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial Edge Podcast, where we talk about business, innovation, leadership, and trends shaping the future of entrepreneurship in our communities. I'm your host, Marc Parham. Today, we're diving into a topic that a lot of people are hearing about, but very few truly understand: stablecoins, digital finance, and the future of how money may move around the world. Now, before you tune out and say this sounds too technical, stay with us because this conversation is not just about crypto. It's about business. It's about banking. It's about payments, opportunity, and how organizations from corporations to nonprofits to small businesses may soon operate in a very different financial environment. My guest today is Cory Henry, who has been studying and working in this space and helping organizations understand what these emerging financial systems could mean moving forward. Today, we're going to break down this conversation in plain language: what stablecoins actually are, why governments and corporations are paying attention, and how could this impact entrepreneurs and community organizations. And finally, what business owners should be preparing for right now. So whether you're curious, skeptical, or just trying to understand what all this means, this conversation is what you'll want to hear. Let's get into it. Cory Henry, welcome to the Entrepreneurial Edge Podcast.
Good morning, Mark. It's good to be with you again. We've talked about many things in the past.
Yeah.
So it's good to kind of center a discussion that I've really been driving for quite some time.
So first, let's tell people who you are and what you do. Let's start with that.
All right. My name's Cory Henry. I'm from Fort Myers, Florida. I was the first Black person to attend West Point from Robert E. Lee County in Fort Myers. So when I was doing this 20 something years ago, it wasn't as big of a deal to me as it is now because none of us ever realized that we're making history as we're making it, right? Neither did Alexander Hamilton, neither did Martin Luther King, neither did any of them. They're just doing what they know to do, the best they know to do at the time. And I think as a kid, I think I was just doing what I knew to do at the time. Fast forward to now, I'm retired. I'm a strategist. I'm focused on environmental activism, uh, and very focused on civil rights and civil rights, right? The right to be the pursuit of happiness, right? That part of the Constitution that we don't really get into very much. In that, I see a lot of promise in technology. I see a lot of promise in all of the different mechanisms of technology that are built for advancing ideas, built for advancing people, communities, and built for advancing purpose. And so that's where blockchain really took hold of me. I don't say crypto as much. I say blockchain because digital ledger technology is built for community engagement. It's
Good.
built for community decisions, and it's built to build righteousness as a part of the code, as opposed to just an assumption.
So tell me this. What made you start paying attention to stable coins?
Well, stable coins have gained the trust of institutional money, right? Because they're no different from a technological point than, say, Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of them. They're all the same mechanisms from a how point of view, right?
Right.
But with
So
stable coins, there's a more significant what. And the what is the $39 trillion of debt that is on the United States balance sheet. That's the what, right?
So why should business owners care about this conversation right now, today?
Well, because people get in business to gain wealth. You agree?
I agree.
All right. Let's just pretend for a second that those are the people who I'm talking to, right? The people who get into business, into commerce as a mechanism of gaining wealth. To those people, there will be new instruments of capture, right? New ways of having your money work for you when you're not holding it, right? And businesses have the unique capacity of gathering other people's money to work on the owner's behalf, right? So money has been, for the most part in our history, a stagnant apparatus, meaning you hold it and it just sits there and you get the benefit of saying, hey, I'm worth this non working amount of money, right? But the new money is not non working. The new money is active. So the
And
new
that,
money is actively going and looking to multiply itself in an automated fashion because of AI. So the digital money now has a life. It is a living thing. So when you put it on a shelf, it's not just sitting there remaining what it is. It's
it's
going to
active.
grow and multiply. And that's what these stable coins are opening us into is a new instrument, a new apparatus that doesn't just sit on a shelf and remain what it is. It grows like a tree or like you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what's different about stablecoin different than Bitcoin?
Well, the stable coin is all about the US dollar. And the stable coin is built to ensure that the US dollar will remain the global currency in the fourth industrial revolution. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if we abandon the dollar, then we don't care about stable. We only care about what's going up, right? But if what's going up can also be disrupt our country's balance of power globally, then we had to find a way to wrangle that potential and use that potential energy to empower our currency as opposed to deflating and deneutralizing the power of the dollar. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. So tell me this: why are governments and major corporations all of a sudden paying attention to this?
Because it's an inevitable. It's like a tsunami. You don't have to pay attention to it until you're staring at a
You're right.
30-foot wall, right? So our time of not paying attention to it has long passed. And the second that Iran said, you guys can now pay us in Bitcoin to get your boats through, that announced the new balance of power on the world stage.
So tell me this: so we're basically talking about digital dollars.
Digital agreements and understanding that agreement is the basis of all currency, right? Agreement is the basis of all currency. That's why debt is always preceded by a signature.
Gotcha. So let's talk about for a minute why this matters to businesses. How can stable coins affect small businesses?
Stablecoins are going to allow small businesses to tap into the global floor and rise above the glass ceiling because the glass ceiling has sentinels that have proven nothing but the ability to distribute injustice, right? And that injustice is packed with delays, denials, procedural humdrum that just exhausts you before you even get to say start, right?
Yeah. So hold it. So this may change payroll, invoicing, and vendor payments based on what you just said.
This will change every payment because you'll take a payment right now, any payment, there's a person in the middle taking a percentage of that payment.
Mm-hmm.
Between me and you right now, for me to send anything to you, somebody is in the middle taking a piece of that. That is unnatural. And so our first task is to reduce that, right? To minimize that down to the smallest fraction possible. And right now, the most efficient and the most inexpensive way to do that is through digital payment rails.
So what industries do you think are going to adopt this digital world first? What
It'll
industry?
be easier to tell you who won't, but
Okay.
I can tell, let me be the most opaque. The Catholic Church has already established a stable coin, right? And here's what it's for. It's to collect on all of the debt that they own of the United States and all of their treasuries that they've collected. It's so that they can have a faster way to receive what the taxpayer of the United States is paying them. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. So that's a nonprofit or a community organization. That's a
That's a
benefit to
community organization.
right.
So there will be two classes in the future: those who the United States owes and those who pay it, right?
Gotcha.
And
So
so
that,
when you position your organization to carry the debt of the United States, then you position your organization to be in the receiver class, right? And then when you don't position your organization to be in the receiver class, guess which line you put your organization in?
so let's look at for a minute the Atlanta. You were here in Atlanta. Look at the Atlanta. Could a city like Atlanta become a hub for this type of financial innovation?
Absolutely. Every jurisdiction should be considering how they can be launching their own stablecoins because of remittance. Look up remittance, right? Look up the value of remittance in the United States. Google it. Don't use me. Don't let Cory be the only source of this information. Remittance. How much remittance is there in the United States alone? And because remittance is the invisible tax that we pay to the invisible entity that is standing between our agreements. And and since everybody is okay with remittance, now you have the ability to take remittance and add it to your business model, right? And so now remittance is either less or you own a part of the remittance of everybody in your network, and that builds power.
Sounds like it. So tell me this: with the World Cup coming to Atlanta 2026, could digital payments become more important for businesses serving international visitors?
Paramount. The world is coming to America, and what are they bringing? Data. They're bringing email addresses. They're bringing phone numbers. They're bringing debit cards and credit cards. They're bringing data. They're bringing buyers who will find a special honey that they like. They'll find a t-shirt company that they like. They'll find a shoe company that they like. And with the click of a button, they will be able to keep those relationships for the rest of their lives.
Wow. Wow. Now, I tell you what, the video you sent me to do research on this talks about organizations potentially earning treasury yield from reserves.
Absolutely.
Can you explain that in simple language?
Yes, because every stable coin must first be backed by U.S. Treasury notes. That is the first layer or foundational layer of stablecoins. So the stablecoin owner has to buy U.S. Treasuries or their equivalent. The equivalent can be gold, money, real estate in the United States, things of that nature, right? Assets. So you take your assets and you lock them away, right? Or you buy U.S. Treasuries, which are locked away, obviously, by the U.S. You're buying the debt of the United States. That's the most stable asset in the world. So when you hold $1 million worth of debt, then you are able to issue $900,000 worth of stable coins. And
Wow.
now those stable coins are going out. And what are they capturing? Remittance, right?
Right.
The
Right.
stable coins are capturing remittance. That is a business model. And now you are in the business model because your stable coin is out. So say, let's take it down to a level. Let's say I went to FAMU, right? And now FAMU wants to launch the FAMU stablecoin. And all of the alumni of FAMU are going to get a FAMU MasterCard, and that MasterCard will be used for all of their expenses, and they're going to earn rewards. They're going to earn rewards for all of the things that they spend money on, their rent, their car, their anything that travel, anything that they eat, anything they're using their FAMU card. And now these rewards can be spent so that now they can go to games, they can go to this, they can do that, and they can spend their FAMU rewards on anything FAMU and get 20% off, and they're spending their reward. And now they're more tethered to their university because they're earning all these rewards and their life is getting better. And FAMU is now earning the remittance of their
Right.
community.
Their community. Yeah.
That is the future of our finance when we do it the right way.
So tell me this. This sounds like banks and current financial institutions would be very nervous. Are they nervous or
Companies,
excited about this? What are they?
banks are nervous. Banks are nervous, and that's why it's been delayed like it has. Banks are very nervous. They're nervous. They're nervous about deposit flight. They're nervous about the gravy train that they have been riding. All of a sudden, that gravy is getting dry, right? So they're either going to have to play along, and they'll be the main ones offering these services.
Now,
They'll
now
be the main ones integrating these
can
services.
major companies eventually create their own
That's what they're
digital
doing.
currency?
If the
That's what they're
Catholic
doing?
Church is creating their own, then absolutely PayPal has created their own, and McDonald's will have their own. Starbucks will
Wow.
have their
Wow.
own. Disney will have their own. Delta will have their own. Every smart company will have their own, but there's one parameter. They have to do it before January 2027.
Wow. So are we witnessing the next evolution of banking? I mean, what's
We're
happening?
literally watching a revolution in banking right in front of our eyes, and it's up to us to decide to be a part of it. It's up to us to not be just purveyors, but participators. And it's up to us to have the boldness as a community, to have the intellectual boldness to stand up and be counted so that the future will have your face on it.
So what risks should organizations be aware of right now? We're getting into this.
Timidity. Timidity is our biggest risk
Explain that.
because everybody is new at this. So
Okay.
we have to fail forward,
So what mistakes are people making right now?
staying timid, not
Timidity.
launching.
That's the key word, timidity. All right. So I'll tell you this, what happens to organizations that ignore this shift completely?
They will be in either one line or the other. And they will be either on the podium or clapping for the winner.
Wow.
They will be absorbed or absolved.
So is
You
this
know,
something that people should fear or prepare for?
it's right now, the future favors the bold.
Bold, okay.
And I'm not being euphemistic or I'm not being cliche in any way because I don't have all of the answers, but the answers are closer to us than they have ever been because of what we all hold in our hands. We hold intelligence in our palms. The most brave thing you have right now is curiosity
Right.
because curiosity will cause you to prompt, and the prompt is as good as the answer.
So, what should small business owners do today to prepare for this?
Focus on knowledge,
So,
focus
now,
on understanding, and
it sounds like listening to more of Cory Henry is what what you should have just said.
focus on understanding because your do has to be preceded by your no, right? So that you don't, so that you minimize the size of your mistakes, you know?
Gotcha.
And it's okay to walk on grass, right? But it's not okay to drive on grass.
Right. So, what should nonprofits and churches be paying attention to?
Their networks and truly gaining an understanding of the size of the data in their networks. Most of us don't really know who we are until you know how many databases are inside of your organization. What do you mean, Corey? Every device is a database. Every phone, every laptop, desktop, every computer, everything has a database on it. And ultimately, that collective of that data is your cloud, right? And you'll never have a business that can have an AI about your business unless you have a true hold of the data in your organization, right? Because that data tells you who you are when you apply intelligence to it. So we have too much dumb data in our
Wow.
organizations, and that's why it's not worth anything.
That
But
we're not using.
when you capture that data, you give it worth and intellectual property, it becomes alive. And now that data becomes currency. And that currency is like a bacteria grows, it multiplies every day like cells. And one becomes two, and two, four, and four, eight, and eight, 58. And that's how the rich are getting richer because they have more living money than dead money, right?
So, tell me this: where do you think the space is going to be within 5 years?
It's going to be to a point where money will have to change its relationship in our lives, and life will circle back to impact. What is the impact of what you're doing on the lives of those around you? And if you can focus on impact and not just money, right?
Hmm.
Then because progress on impact is a divine assignment, right? But progress on just money is a human assignment. But when you can align money with impact, glory be to God.
Right. So, tell me this: what's the one thing you want people to remember from just this conversation? We're going to have other conversations about that. From this conversation, what do you want people to remember?
That we are very much watching a revolution that needs our participation and not just our eyes. So the way that we saw money in the past is changing, and you have to endeavor to be a part of the discussion, to stand up and be counted. And every CEO, every everyone who wants to be a CEO, everyone who wants to own a bank, who wants to be a part of what we thought used to be Wall Street. Now Wall Street is on every street in the world, and the globe is now our oyster. And the global floor is higher than the glass ceiling. So we have to position ourselves on the global floor so that we can rise above the glass ceiling and be the receiver class and not just the debtor class.
So let me ask you this one final question. Are stable coins just another tech trend, or are we looking at a major shift in how money moves globally?
Stablecoins are the intro, they are the onboarding mechanism. And once people get on board and they move their assets to the global digital spectrum, then opportunities are what drive success, not just, sales numbers, not just revenue. It's about what kind of opportunities you get into. So you start one business, and before you know it, you end up in an entirely different business because you found from that opportunity another opportunity was better. And so it's about the journey, right?
Hmm.
And I think we have to be appreciative of the journey because you're going to fall out of love with businesses as fast as you fall in love with them. The new model is going to be multiple streams of income managed by AI agents that are working for you when you're not working so that we can spend more time with our children and more time with our families and more time on vacation and more time writing books and more time raising the floor and not just chasing the damn roof. Pardon my expression.
I get it. Man, I tell you what, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate you joining us today and helping break this down in a way that everyday business owners and community leaders can understand. One thing that's clear from this discussion is that we're watching the financial world evolve real time. Whether or not people are using digital payments, stable coins, AI, the new
We're watching.
financial systems are becoming. So it doesn't mean you should panic, correct, Cory? We don't need to panic at this point. All right. But it does mean we need to pay attention and position ourselves. So hopefully today's conversation will give you a starting point to begin asking questions or exploring what this could mean for your organization. Again, Cory, thank you for joining us. And to everybody listening, thank you for tuning in to the Entrepreneurial Edge. And make sure you subscribe. I'm Marc Parham, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Cory.
Thank you.